My name's Cody, and I'll be talking for a little bit about the qualifications and the job descriptions of religious and performing arts interpreters. Now, it is recommended that performing arts interpreters have had some training in acting or performing arts. It has shown to be beneficial to these interpreters, and of course, having a background in music or theater is very helpful. It's also recommended that performing arts interpreters take courses and workshops that deal with dramatic arts, character development, script analysis, things like that. That's shown to be very helpful. Qualifications for religious interpreters are not generally established. An interpreter who shares the same beliefs as the religious body that they're interpreting for is often preferred. It kind of prevents any personal biases or opinions from getting in the way of the message that's trying to be delivered to the deaf individuals. Um, of course, usually entry level interpreters can work in religious settings. Apparently, there's a lack of standards in these settings, but being fluent in religious terminology, being fluent in finger spelling is very important. A lot of the names in the Bible, such as Leviticus or Corinthians, they're relatively long, and it's important to have fluent and clear finger spelling. And then having a cultural understanding of the particular religion, knowing the order of the service, knowing certain taboos, knowing what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable. That's extremely important as well. Um, Being familiar with the religion's history and texts, that's really important. Oftentimes, you can get the lesson plan or the sermon ahead of time so you can practice interpreting that. The songs are given to you ahead of time so you can practice. You can look up the songs on YouTube. That's definitely a great way to prepare. The job descriptions for religious interpreters, they can work at church services, they can work at weddings, funerals, baptisms, bar mitzvahs. They have a lot of different options. They can work at a lot of different places. Performing arts interpreters often work at musical concerts or theatrical performances. And of course, they must prepare ahead of time, practice the songs before the event. The songs and lyrics are given to them, so it is almost like a performance. Conceptual signing and knowing a variety of religious terms, of course, is important if you're going to interpret at a religious setting. Signs do vary depending on the denomination of the church. So if you were interpreting in a Catholic setting and you were to interpret the sign for baptism, that sign in a Catholic setting represents water being sprinkled on someone's head rather than the individual actually being submerged in water as it would if it were to be signed in a Baptist church. Of course, arriving early in order to adjust the seating and the lighting is extremely important. I don't want to wear colors that cause too much eye strain. I want to make it easy for the deaf individuals to see your hands and see exactly what you're signing. Oftentimes, when you're interpreting in a religious setting, there's a screen in the very back of the building, or there may be a monitor in front of you that has the lyrics on there a couple seconds before they're being sung. So you do have time to think about the best way to interpret, best way to sign the lyrics. So that's very helpful for the interpreters. There may be some socialization after or before the service, the church service, that requires interpreting. The deaf individuals of the church may want to speak to the pastor or someone else in the church, and it is the interpreter's responsibility to kind of assist and help with that communication. Interpreters for theatrical performances may actually be on stage with some of the actors shadowing them and moving around with them as they're interpreting to kind of give a better idea of who's talking and how the conversation is going.